And um, I have a new sports show that I'm coming out with, and this is going to be the first episode. So this is episode one, and in this sports show, it's going to match up with uh, what I normally like to do uh, is talk about sports, but more than that, uh, this is a pick show. So what I'm going to be doing here is uh, I'm going to give out a daily pick, and it's not going to be NFL, so it's totally separate than the NFL. I'm going to give out an NFL a daily pick that is uh, exactly $1. So for this pick, I need you to give me $1 super chat and email in the comment, and I will send you the pick. And that's how this is going to work, guys. One thing I realized, and a lot of people have told me, is that I need to be charging for my sports picks. And I heard this repeatedly, especially from my grandfather. And so that's kind of where this is all coming from. They told me that I do too well not to get paid for it. So that's kind of the idea of this show. But I'm definitely going to be talking about most of the games that are on today. I'm going to go with college football today, and that's what the Daily Dollar is. It's in college football, and so if you are a sports bettor, then I have obviously a sports bet for you. I think there's a guy doing that, Justin Dukes. I think that's actually in the works. I think that is someone doing that right now. Um, Honestly, I can't tell you who it is, though, because I can't think of it right now off the top of my head who it is. But I do think that's actually in the works. Uh, nice. That is awesome. Hello, Mr. Old number 7. Philip Hubbard plus 4,000 on Bovada. I love it. I love it. And so, guys, when you super chat the dollar and I send you the email, I'm also going to send you my breakdown with it. So, for $1, if you think I'm an idiot, you just get to think I'm an idiot for $1. But guys, uh, my record kind of speaks for itself. So, down there on the little dollar sign below the chat box thing where you type, there you click that box and you should be able to send it. And so, guys, some of you, like obviously, like old number 7, I know his email address, so I do know that already. Um, and this is totally separate from the membership thing on YouTube. That's for my NFL stuff, guys. This is a totally separate show. I'm just going to be doing these every day if I can, because guys, that's one of the things I do. I had not I didn't I put out Ohio State and Boise State as a teaser yesterday. It was a Ohio State Boise State teaser, and it came in. It was a good one, really good teaser. Ohio State looked shaky for a minute, but they just overpowered Minnesota is really what happened. And Boise State, that delay helped them a lot, I think. I think that delay helped them, and Florida was hyped up for a home game and then came out flat, and Ohio and Boise State got a good run on them. And Boise State probably could have won that game. I mean, it came right down to the wire there that Central Florida had to pick the ball off. So, I mean, it was in question. And so, guys, this pick, this daily dollar pick, it can be. Sometimes it's just a straight pick, ATS. Sometimes it's going to be a total. Sometimes it's going to be a prop. So you joined my membership. So that's actually something different, Philip. But that's cool. Whatever membership level you joined, you'll definitely be getting my breakdowns for the NFL if you join that. Or if you just joined my club, you'll be entered into all my contests. Just free entry for just being a member. So that's cool. Appreciate that. Definitely what I'm looking for people to do is join that club, but based on so I can give things away to the guys that support me the most. And I really appreciate those guys. So I have a bunch of cool stuff to give away that I've got from casinos. And I would definitely love to start giving it away. And that's what I'm going to do once I get, I don't want to do it with like 3 members in there, because that seems kind of silly. 1 out of 3 people are going to get it. But once I get 10 or so members, I'll start having giveaways live. And so when I used to do my contest, I had this little spinny wheel thing that I'd put on there. And so it was kind of like Wheel of Fortune or something. I'd hit the wheel and everyone would watch it, and boom, it like pops up the winner, the winner name. So Philip Hubbard, this is my email address. And again, joining the club is different than the Daily Dollar. So I need to keep that separate. Larry won twice. The wheel's suspicious. See, some of these guys were involved with the wheel. Larry won the coolest thing, right? So I gave away this like little automated craps table thing. So Larry won the coolest one, definitely the coolest thing. And Larry also won the second Play with Wager contest, where I bought him in for $300 at the craps table. One thing in Larry's defense is Larry bought a bunch of entries. So Larry had like 40 entries, as opposed to some guys only having 1. And so when I did those contests, I allowed people to enter. All right, thank you, Mr. Old Number 7. Definitely will be sending you an email with my breakdown. I know you are, Mr. Patel. You're one of my best subscribers. You're always in here, always commenting, always get questions that I very rarely can answer. But so let's just talk about some of the college football games today. So North Carolina, Virginia Tech's a big one, right? I mean, that's ACC battle. North Carolina is laying 5.5 on the road. That's pretty tough in week 1, laying 5.5 on the road. North Carolina has been better than them of late, but Virginia Tech's no pushover. And if you guys look at that total is up to 64, right? And the under is the minus money, and you're getting plus money on the over. That means they think it's going to go under that 64. They think it's going to go under, and I'm guessing that they think the sharps are going to come in on that under, and they probably already are. They're probably pounding that under there. Hello, Skill. I'm not really high on either team. So again, guys, a lot of what we've seen last year was COVID related, so it's relatively tough to judge anything off of last year's performances if you're not Ohio State or Alabama or one of the playoff teams, right? One of the blue blood teams. If you're one of the middle of the pack Power 5 teams, some of them only played 5 games. Some of them only played 9 games. Some of them, like the Big 12 didn't play hardly any games, right? I mean, so what did we really learn from last year? Not nothing. I would say nothing. I would say, but the one thing crazy in college football this year is that NCAA allowed 6th-year seniors, right? So guys that were 5th years or going to go to the NFL had a choice to stay. And at the skill positions, this isn't a huge deal because most of them guys leave anyway. But in the linemen's a big deal. And I think what we saw from Minnesota last night was they had some guys that were a year older and bigger, and they just had a really good plan for Ohio State. The way they were lining up with like 7 offensive linemen and 8 offensive linemen and just power football, I really think Minnesota has a chance to make some noise. They're not better than Ohio State, though, so they were never going to get past that. But I do see them as a pretty good bowl team. I mean, they're going to hurt a lot of people's feelings this year, I think, because they're going to be able to line up with everybody. All right, so going down the list, Duke and Charlotte, all right? So one of the crazy things about this game is that both of these teams were relatively bad last year, right? They didn't play very well. There weren't very many wins. Charlotte's, they're very bottom, right? They're just starting their way up. But in Division 1 AA and stuff, and they were actually a powerhouse at one time. So I mean, it's not like they haven't been good at football before, but now they're playing with the big boys, and it's going to be tougher for them. And like last year's score on the Duke, even in the COVID year, was 53-19 against Duke. So keep that in mind, 53-19 against Duke. Charlotte, I think they are returning. So like their quarterback's kind of their star. I think he's returning. They got some returning wide receivers. It's not like they're not talented, but I don't know if they're. Sometimes like we saw, I think last night with Ohio State and Minnesota, is that the talent eventually won out, right? That just the pure talent eventually won out with those big long passes that the Minnesota guys just couldn't cover those receivers. And so that young quarterback at Ohio State, he just threw the ball, right? Just threw it. It was there, throw it. What's happening? Okay, so this is what's going on here. I'm going to be doing this show every day. It's called Daily Dollar. If you super chat $1 and give me your email, I'm going to email you my favorite pick for that day. And it could be anything from, it could be a golf matchup, right? I have got very versed at handicapping many things and finding edges in many different sports. All right, it could be a soccer total. It could be a basketball score. It could be, a prop on a college football game. I mean, it could be a lot of things. It's what I've looked at and found that is my favorite. And I'm giving it out for $1 per day. The one thing it will never be is NFL. It will never be NFL because that is a package that you get as a member to my channel. And I'm the best at the NFL as far as handicapping goes. By what I mean is out of all the things I handicap the NFL the best. I have a very consistent percentage of winning over many years that I have logged in logbooks that look just like this. So let me show y'all. So I have lots of these logbooks, tons of them, like stacks of them. And so what ends up happening is I keep track of all that stuff, and I keep track of what I bet on and how I change my betting styles from year to year, and what I think about home field advantages and all kinds of stuff. So I'm going to give you just a quick look at, this is going to be a quick look at just notes on week 1, all right? So this is what my notes look at week 1 in the NFL. And this is a week and a half before the start. So my notes grow and grow and grow until I have all the information I want to have that I like to have, and then I make an educated pick on them, or an educated, it's not a guess, it's like a, it's an educated wager is what it is. And I don't wager on every game until after the 4th week, because after the 4th week, then my computer model will have enough DraftKings player preferences. I definitely use DraftKings. I'm not 100% sure what you're asking there, old number 7. I am about to have DraftKings promotional stuff on here, so I'm going to have a promo code for DraftKings. I'm getting it set up. I'm working on that now. Should be hearing back from those people and seeing what happens there. But I'll definitely have a promo code, so I think it will give you guys like bonus stuff and stuff like that from the way it acts, and if you use my promo code, obviously it helps me. So that's cool too. I like that part as well. But anyway, so going back to the college football slate today, we just talked about Duke just for a second. And Old Dominion and Wake Forest, this is a 32-point spread and only a 63-point over and under. So what that indicates to you is that they don't expect Old Dominion to do much at all. And the money line on this is 10,000. You have got to play Wake Forest, you have to put up 10,000 to win $100. Hello, Patty. $10,000 to win $100. That's not even worth it, right? It's not even worth it if you get Appalachian Stated. And by Appalachian Stated, I mean when Appalachian State snuck up and beat Michigan that time. It's just not worth it. It's not worth it to lay those big money lines. Well, DraftKings bought out the Golden Nuggets sports betting, or Golden Nugget bought out DraftKings sports betting. One way or the other. It's something to do with Golden Nugget. I believe so. DraftKings is, if you're in an area that can use it, their promotions and stuff are really good. Like one of the promotions for the beginning of the NFL season is that you can bet New England plus 73 points against Dallas. So you're getting 73 points. Now you can only put $25 on it, but it's free. You know, they're just giving you free money. So just so you guys know, the highest single score ever in an NFL game is 72 points. So that's the most any team has ever scored in one game individually is 72 points. Happened like 1966. Who you think will have good game on Sunday by positions? Okay, so that's an NFL question. Guys, okay, so the one area that I lack in when it comes to sports betting is fantasy sports betting. So like betting fantasy points and this and that, I'm not good at fantasy football because I look at things from a handicapping perspective. And so I generally don't do well at fantasy football. But my partner, Jake from Square Pair, is a good fantasy football player. And he's good at that stuff. And Lumpy is good at that stuff. So that's one of the reasons I brought them into the group and wanted them part of my show and part of what I was doing, because they have that angle that I don't. All right, I just don't put no time and effort into it. I mean, obviously I can say, okay, I think, this guy's going to run for 100 yards, and I might be right sometimes, but that's not my best, handicapping ability, is like handicapping fantasy. Now, I do like player props, but generally, guys, I stick to the player props that take one event to finish. So interceptions, touchdowns, things like that. I don't like player props as much that take multiple things like yardage props and stuff like that. Most of the time I bet touchdowns, interceptions, defensive scores that take one single event to win what you need. All right? And I'll give out a free prop right now. Free prop on the NFL, okay? This is a great NFL prop right here. This is free. This is as free as it gets. Daily Wager, I'm giving you a free pick on the NFL that I will have more money than I already have on it, right? And that is that the San Francisco defense playing the Detroit Lions will have a defensive score. They will score on defense. Whether it's a interception or a fumble or a safety, they are going to score on defense. All right? That it's just too overmatched. One team is significantly different than the other. And so there you go. Free prop right there. San Francisco defensive touchdown. It's gonna happen. Book it. It might happen in the first quarter. It could happen in the first drive of the Lions. I mean, it could be the very first drive. I mean, easily. So here's some Lions stuff. So this is a good plan when you're a football team, right? You get rid of your two best receivers and go get a new quarterback on top of that. Two best receivers, get a new quarterback. So what that does tell you, and this is kind of a fantasy thing, is that T.J. Hawkinson, their tight end, the tight end at Detroit that's actually good, will probably have a great season. He'll probably have a stellar season from a statistical standpoint because Galladay's gone, Jones is gone. Who else are you going to throw the football to? I mean, Goff, he might have some throws to himself. I don't know. But Goff's just not the answer, man. That was a money move. I think the Lions just finally decided, hey, we're going to get rid of this Stafford contract. We're going to get rid of all this money. And we're going to get rid of these receivers. They didn't do nothing with Stafford. We're going to get rid of all this, and we're going to remake a team through the draft. And so, Lions fans, I'm sorry, but you're going to have to wait till Barry Sanders' great-great-great-grandchildren are playing for the Lions. And once that happens, then you guys will probably make the playoffs. I'm just sorry. I'm sorry I have to say that to you guys, but it's okay because most of the time you guys aren't even at the games. You probably don't watch them because they're the Lions. I mean, they have every chance in the world to go winless this year. I think they have, just from a pure talent standpoint, they may have the weakest roster overall in the NFL. Weaker than Houston's, weaker than Jacksonville's. It's just a bad roster. And I think they're doing it on purpose. I think they want the number one pick. I mean, why wouldn't you, right? If you're that bad, you might as well get the number one pick. Might as well have your chance at, you know, some superstar stud that's going to maybe possibly change a position group on your team. You know, so something like, the best defensive end. You might get yourself a Myles Garrett or Khalil Mack or Von Miller or J.J. Watt, You might get one of those guys, one of these T.J. Watts or one of the Bosa's, those type of players. Maybe you get, your centerpiece linebacker. I don't know. Maybe get your center. But first round draft pick, number one pick. If you think Goff's the answer, you're obviously not going quarterback. So it's going to be something else. All right, let's go to the next college football game. You have, this one's tricky. I've actually kind of looked into this one because I just don't know anything about St. Francis, PA against Eastern Michigan. I do know some about Eastern Michigan. Eastern Michigan actually kind of has a blue blood line into the NFL. Like, there's been some really good Eastern Michigan players come through. So it's just, to me, when you get those teams that are Division 128 or whatever they are, I mean, it's just hard to know what they have. So okay, so here I'm just picking up who Eastern Michigan guys. Okay, so these are some of the players that they've had. Okay, Charlie Batch came from there, right? Charlie Batch was a pretty good player. Andrew Wiley, all right. Okay, nice. Jason Jones, he plays at Tennessee, he's pretty good. I mean, there's just been some good players come out of there for such a small school, right? I just have always kind of like them, as well as Eastern Illinois. So they're kind of two of my small school favorites. Eastern Illinois is even more blue bloody than Eastern Michigan. Eastern Illinois has like Romo and the Shanahans and stuff like that. So I mean, it's just some of those smaller schools really do produce talent. But so Eastern Michigan is a 32-point favorite, right? And it's only 54, so they don't expect St. Francis to score really. But man, it's just weird to bet on those kind of teams, right? The teams just don't know. How are you, Mr. Hawaii Crap Shooters? Yeah, that alert, it's on this Voxer thing. It's like a walkie-talkie, and I'm just like, ugh. So, yeah, it is what it is. I use it to communicate with Square Pair because they don't like to text; they'd rather talk. So if you guys want to download Voxer, we can all be on Voxer together and we can walkie-talkie each other. Uh, I'll have to ask them how to get you. Like it's like adding a contact or something. But yeah, so you can literally just talk back and forth. Which I mean, it's cool, but it kind of makes me feel like we're 12 years old in a clubhouse, you know. So then you got South Dakota and Kansas. Okay, So here's one thing about Kansas, right? You know, so Kansas is kind of on their way up, right? They got uh, they kind of got uh, a boost when Les Miles was there in recruiting, at least. You know, they didn't necessarily win any more games or anything, but they did get a little bit of a boost there. So they're kind of you guys. You remember, like 15 years ago, Kansas was a powerhouse with Mike Leach, man. The, or was it Mangino? It was Mangino. Sorry. They were good. Guys like Aqib Talib and stuff came out of there. They were tough. And then that all crashed and everything. And then they went back in the dumpster fire for a while. But they're playing South Dakota, and now, guys, this is not South Dakota State. South Dakota State's the blue blood one. South Dakota, it's less than a 2 touchdown favor there. So Kansas only favored by 13.5. But the money line is 525. So they're expecting Kansas to win the game. And you're not getting no value on South Dakota in an upset really at 385. If you were at 500 on that upset, that might be worth it. Hello, SJ. But yeah, so I mean, I don't know. It's like those kind of games, these early games in the college football season, I tend to stay away from the teams that I just don't have any eye candy, any eye test for, because they tend to they tend to sneak up on you, right? So like, for example, Weber almost snuck up on Utah last night. Almost snuck up on them. Just things like that. And I just don't like to get surprised. So I tend to stay away from those. But so South Dakota State's playing Colorado State, and it's only a 3-point game. South Dakota State is getting 3 points, right? So South Dakota State, you're talking about like your guys like. So I'm just going to read you off these quarterbacks, all right? This is crazy. All right? The quarterbacks that they've put in the NFL. Just recently. Okay, so hold on. Maybe I got this wrong. Sorry, I was wrong. Not South Dakota, North Dakota State. So I had that wrong. My brain was failing me there. I was talking about North Dakota State. I had them confused with South Dakota State. So South Dakota State's the basketball school. That's right. They're the basketball school. Man, that's my mess up. Oops, that's my light. That's not good. All right, but anyway, so I don't know enough about South Dakota State to be messing with them. I'm not a huge Colorado State guy. Anyway, even though I live here, I live just right down the road from it. They tend to let you down. I feel like Colorado State is a big letdown school. A lot of times uh, they'll have great offenses, no defense. I tend to stay away from, in college football especially, high variance. Okay, so high variance. So let's talk about high variance and low variance. What I refer to in college football. College football specifically, high variance versus low variance. Okay, so high variance teams are your air raid teams, your Houston's, your Texas Techs, those kind of like air raid offenses, gimmicky offenses, where they put up 50 on Toledo, but they put up 14 on Oklahoma. So I tend to stay away from those schools because they give you this really weird eye candy when you watch them play uh, a team that can't defend what they do, right? So it's kind of like Navy. When Navy can beat up on people with that option until they play a school that don't have no problem stopping it, and then they can't do anything. But so any kind of like gimmicky offenses in college football, I tend to steer away from them. So low variance. Low variance is your Alabamas, your Ohio States, your Clemsons. There's low variance there, right? They do the same thing over and over. They score 35 points a game. They dominate the bad teams, and they play great games against the good teams, right? And a lot of times they dominate good teams. So the lower variance is where I tend to stay in college football. I tend to stay in those spots. The high variance, I just don't like it. I just don't like the idea that if that defensive coordinator came up with a good plan that day, they could be that team could be the completely inferior team. But if they came up with a plan to stop that triple option and it worked, Navy's going to get beat, right? So Navy could be scoring 44 points a game, go up against an inferior opponent, and lose because they had a good game plan, right? That stuff doesn't happen on the low variance teams. We saw it last night. Minnesota had a fantastic game plan, better than good game plan, to Ohio State. And Ohio State still pretty well dominated them. I mean, two of Minnesota's scoring drives were aided by big, huge penalties. So, and Minnesota actually threw an interception that got called back on a penalty. So, I mean, that game had the look of it was closer than it was. Now, I'm giving Minnesota a lot of props. Minnesota is a good football team. But from a variance standpoint, they're a mid-level variance, I would say. But against a low variance team like Ohio State had a brand new quarterback, and he still was chunking the ball down the field to those older receivers that are just going to be first rounders. You know, they got an All-American receiver and stuff. And when those guys just get open. Minnesota's DBs not on the same level. And so they're wide open. You know, and it's not that Minnesota's players are bad. It's just that those Ohio State players are really good. And they're NFL players. They're just not in the NFL yet. And so that's why I tend to stay to the lower variance. So, like, for example, in these games today, I would much rather bet on Michigan State or Northwestern or North Carolina or Virginia Tech from a variance standpoint. Because those teams are going to be more equally matched. So they're going to come up with a more consistent outcome, right? So the lower the variance, the more consistent outcome. People that are craps people should know all about variance, right? So variance is simple, right? You don't want a wide variance. You want a very tight variance, right? So when you're in college football from the very best number one team to the very last team is probably 60 to 70 points difference, right? On any day, Alabama's going to line up against whoever's ranked last, South Alabama or one of those schools, and they're going to beat them by 60 points. Whereas in the NFL, the best team versus the worst team is about 20 to 21 points, right? So the variance is a lot smaller in the NFL because the players are pro players. Where in college, recruiting matters tons, right? So the team that recruits the best generally wins the most games year in and year out. So if a team, your Alabamas, your Ohio States, your Clemsons, your LSUs, that recruit good every year, that are top 5 recruiting teams every year, Well, they tend to stay in the top 5 every year because they're just more talented. And so that's why I look at college football. I look at it from a talent standpoint as opposed to uh, like in the NFL where maybe it's a scheme thing or maybe it's more of a situational thing. In college football, I look at that way less. I don't have a problem at all laying points with Alabama on the road, even in a hostile, good home field advantage. Even if Alabama is going to a place like Georgia Tech or, you know, uh, Tallahassee or maybe to Penn State, good home field advantages, right? But I don't care because Alabama's a better football team, right? Alabama's going to dominate because they're better. It's not having anything to do. Those things to me are more for equal football teams. You look at that stuff, right? If the teams are equal, then you go to, hey, let's talk about, are they at home? Is it a special home game? Like, for example, Penn State, they have the whiteout. If it's a whiteout game, that's just that much more that those players are going to get up for that. The fans are going to be crazier. It's going to be harder on the other team, right? Now, in the NFL, there's a handful of home field advantages that are significantly better than the others. The Detroit Lions have 0 home field advantage. The Seattle Seahawks have a great home field advantage. The Kansas City Chiefs have a great home field advantage. Certain times of the year, Green Bay does. Certain times of the year, New England does, Buffalo, right? Sometimes Miami has a home field advantage. Like right now, if a team from Chicago has to go to Miami and play in that humidity, that's advantage. That's a home field advantage, right? So those are situational advantages. I just don't think it matters as much in college when the teams are unequal. I think that the talent outweighs any of those advantages. All right, so let's move on to Michigan State and Northwestern, right? So this is a good game. This is a Big Ten matchup, good game. Michigan State's getting 3 points. The over and under is 45.5, which is very NFL-ish, and the reason is because these two teams play very NFL styles. All right, so that's probably right on. That's probably really close. You're looking at 24-21, something like that. The one thing I like about this game is I feel like if you're going to play this game, you just take Michigan State on the money line at plus 140. I mean, I just think that's where all the value is. All right, the plus 3, Northwestern's at home, so they're looking at this as a pick 'em, and they're giving Northwestern 3-point home field advantage. Right, this is as vanilla of a game as they book. All right, it's 3-point spread, 2 good teams or 2 equally matched teams. 45 points is the over and under, and your money lines are only 20 cents apart. Right, 20 cents apart. That's as vanilla as a book makes a game. All right. I'd like, if I was going to play that game, I mean, I would be on that money line because the 3 points, in my opinion, aren't as valuable as the 60 cents. Right. So you're getting a 1.6 to 1. I would rather give those 3 points away for that 0.6, right? So that's the way I'd look at that. I would go with that, and that's how I would bet that game. Now, that's not my pick. That's not the daily dollar. I actually don't like either side of that game myself. But if I was going to play it, that's how I would play it. And that's just a betting technique. That's a betting style. It's 40 cents. You'd be getting 40 cents. It's still not worth. So the way I look at points, guys, points are worth 10 cents to me. So by 10 cents, I mean if it's 1 plus 140, that means that the 1 is $1, and then every other 10, the 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 is 10 cents, right? So if it's 140, you're getting a 4 cent or a 40 cent advantage, right? So instead of, if you bet $1, you're going to win $1.40 instead of $1, right? Or if you bet 100, you're going to win 140 instead of 100, right? So I look at each point as 10 cents. So if I look at that game and I see a plus 3 and then a plus 140, the 140 is the route I'm going because I feel like it's more valuable, right? Now the one advantage that the plus 3 has is it's only a minus 105 plus 3, which is a very nice plus 3. So you're getting the points plus a lower juice, right? You're getting, you're only having to put up $1.05 to win $1 or $105 to win 100. So it's kind of even there, but I would still lean the money line if I was going to play that, just because you're getting 40% more on a dollar. Yeah, I just like that. That's the way I like to play those kind of tighter games, because if you think about it, okay, so if you're betting five underdogs at 140, all right, you only need two of them really, because you're going to win 280, you know, and you're going to get your 280 back, or your 200 back. So that's, you're at 480. You don't have to get to three wins. If you understand what I'm saying. So if you bet 100 on each one, you're still going to lose a little bit of money, but it's not going to be as bad as on the line where you're giving up juice. So that's just some handicapping advice, my personal style type of handicapping. But and then the next game is Northern Colorado versus Colorado. So this is a 38-point spread. Colorado's going to roll those guys. They're just not in the same. They're just not in the same stratosphere. Colorado, they're going to just pounce on them. It's just different talent, right? It's just the talent level is so far different that I'm not saying Northern Colorado won't score. They probably will. They'll probably score 10. It'll probably be 54-10 or something like that. Just because they just won't be able to stop Colorado. They just won't. Colorado will line up and their boys will just road grade Northern Colorado's boys. It's just a talent discrepancy. It's just how college football works. And teams like Colorado need those cupcake games to get those wins so they can get to those bowl games. So that's why they schedule them. All right. Teams like Alabama don't necessarily need those games, right? They want good competition. That way they're building up power rating, and they're building up different things that the coaches polls and all these things, that the way it gets graded for what position you're in for the playoffs, right? So they schedule tougher games. Teams like Colorado and teams like Oregon State, they're going to schedule cupcakes, right? Because they want to get to a bowl game. So they're going to try to schedule 4 cupcakes, because they know they're not playing for a national championship. Those teams know that. And they can say what they want to say, but they know they're not as good as Alabama's or Clemson's or Ohio State's or those kind of squads, right? And that's awesome, man. Thank you again for being a member, ATS. I appreciate that. So he's got the little football man by his membership. That's my little emblems that I found. So they're pretty cool. Anyway, so this is the Daily Dollar for everyone that's new in there. I'm going to be doing this show every day, at least I hope every day. And I'm going to have a pick, and you can super chat $1 and give me your email address, and I will give you the breakdown of my pick and why I like it for $1. And so it's a very cheap winner. And by winner, I mean I will do a percentage. I will average a percentage throughout the course of the season on this Daily Dollar that will win you money. All right? I'm not going to win every game. All right? But you will win a percentage if you played all of them. You will make money, because my percentage will average between 57 and 63. All right? I've been pretty consistent there for a very long time now, and I don't see it change anytime soon. So I've had a few years better than that, and I've only ever had one single year ever that I didn't make money. All right? Since I've been doing this consistently, I've had one single year that I did not make money. And I basically broke even. I was just a little under even, which is absolutely terrible, actually. Your average sports fan can pick roughly 52% of the games right? So that's like a thing that has had studies on it, right? So I am doing college games. Yes, I'm giving some college game advice. I've delved in that a lot more this year, Googs. And this college game advice it's going to be less skilled than my NFL advice. I'll say that for sure. But this is the Daily Dollar. This is just a $1 play. You super chat me $1. Give me your email. I'm going to give you a winner. Right? And that's how this is going to go. So we're going to be doing this every day. I'm going to be talking about sports. And this could be a lot of different sports, guys. One of the things I've been doing lately, I mentioned the golf earlier, guys. golf matchups. Okay, so you go look at the golf matchups. You might get like DeChambeau versus Spieth, right? Sorry about that, guys. That's that walkie-talkie again. So you get DeChambeau versus Spieth, right? And you see, you just do some research, okay? Are they playing in the morning? How does DeChambeau and Spieth do in the morning? Are they playing, you know, is the course long? Do they do good against this small research that gives you good answers? And I actually learned this from a handicapper that I was watching, and he gave out some good information. I just took it to heart, did some research, and I did some mock picks, and they kept winning. So I was like, man, I need to get on this golf stuff. And sure enough, it's been profitable. It's been super profitable. But I just haven't given out a lot of that information because I was waiting for this show to do it. But today is a college football pick. The Daily Dollar is a college football pick for today. So, again, if you want to super chat that dollar, I will email you the pick with the breakdown and why I like it. So if you think I'm an idiot, it only costs you $1 to think I'm an idiot. That's not terrible. You pay a lot more to the government to think they're idiots. Awesome, sir. Awesome. I appreciate that. Mr. Old Number 7. That's going to get you everything this month in the NFL. And guys, week 1 is juicy in the NFL. They are giving you, the NFL did us such a huge favor for week 1. Did all the gamblers that are sports bet savvy a huge favor with the way they scheduled this week 1. Huge favor. It's going to give us, because you guys, week 2 is the worst week traditionally in the NFL, right? So, because it's the overreaction week, right? Week 1, things happen, people overreact. Week 2, they get blasted because they overreact, right? So you see some crazy upset last year. Last year's perfect example, right? Jacksonville goes and beats Indy, all right? Week 1. Or was it Philadelphia? Hold on, I gotta look it up. But anyways, they won a game they weren't supposed to win. It's either let me look this up really quick so I get this right. It was the Colts, okay? That's what I thought. Okay, so it was Indy. They beat a playoff team. Week 1, 27-20. They didn't win another game all year long. All right? So they go and they beat a playoff team, a good team. Okay, but the team had a brand new quarterback, learning a new system. All right? Got surprised by Jacksonville. Gardner Minshew just came out there and threw the ball all over the place. All right? Got lucky. We call it luck. Chuck it up to luck. All right? Didn't win another game all year. Was absolutely terrible all year. All right? But I guarantee you, let me look at who they played week 2. I guarantee you Vegas made money week 2 on Jacksonville Jaguars. Oh, no, that's right. They covered the second week too because they covered on the Titans. All right, so they probably lost money 2 weeks in a row. They did cover that spread, I believe. Or maybe, was that a 3-point spread maybe? But then after that, the Dolphins blasted them. The Bengals blasted them. The Texans blasted them. The Texans. The Lions blasted them. Right? So the overreaction to a unusual situation happens week 2 in the NFL more than any other sporting there is. Any other sport there is. Week 2 in the NFL is where a lot of gamblers lose their money for the season because they overreact to something they saw week 1 and it crushes them and they can never recover. All right? So be careful with week 2, guys. Be careful. If you're not involved in my packages, because I pay a lot of attention to that week 2 stuff, just be careful. Be careful with those week 2 bets. Stick to the blue blood stuff on week 2. Don't get crazy. Don't let your eyes fool you for week 2. All right? If for whatever reason we see something crazy like, let's say, an unusual upset happens, something like try to think of a good one that would be pretty unusual. All right, let's say the Bears beat the Rams, right? So most people don't think the Bears are going to beat the Rams, right? So let's say the Bears beat the Rams, which could happen. It's kind of the same situation as the Jaguars and the Colts last year. New quarterback. Let's say the Bears get it done. They beat the Rams, right? That does not mean that the Bears are going to the playoffs. That does not mean that the Bears are going to win the next game. That means that they beat the Rams that day, all right? Don't let your eyes fool you. If that is for whatever that situation happens, that happens. Remember, the Bears aren't very talented, right? The Bears are either starting Andy Dalton or a rookie quarterback, right? The Bears really can't run the football, right? The Bears defense is solid, really solid, right? Good run stoppers, good defense, right? The Bears essentially have one quality receiver, right? And then some maybes coming up. But without the ability to throw them the football consistently, it doesn't matter. They're just blockers. So, or tacklers when Andy Dalton throws it to the other team. But so that's the kind of things is don't let week 2 fool you, right? Just don't let them fool you on week 2. You know, and that happens a lot. You guys can look it up. Week 2 is crazy overreaction. It's crazy. And another thing I suggest to sports betting, if you're going to be in sports betting, guys, don't listen to the talk shows. Don't listen to your Stephen A's and your Skip Bayless's. Those guys are getting paid to talk up sports, right? They're not getting paid to handicap sports. Guys, there's handicap shows besides mine on the internet that are very good, right? Very high quality, right? Yeah, Cowherd, I agree. I don't think Cowherd is wrong all the time, right? I mean, I would say 85% of the stuff he says is incorrect. All right? Mike Greenberg, he got the Super Bowl right last year, right? He got the exact players, the exact teams in the Super Bowl right in August. If you looked back at the last 20 times the last 20 times he's picked the Super Bowl, he probably hasn't got either team in it. So, guys, just the talk shows, don't get me wrong, those guys have good insider information, like when you see the ex-players on there, they can tell you, yeah, this player's going to be good or this player's going to be bad. But if they tell you that the team is going to beat another team or whatever, it's not based in what handicappers use, right? It's not based in history and statistics. It's based in their love for the game and a style of player they like. Right? Or a style of offense, or maybe it's their friend. You don't know, right? So just stay away from the talk shows. Get to the handicappers. They're all over YouTube, right? These guys are good, right? They're all good. They're not terrible, right? I'm in the same boat as all of them, right? I can sit here and I can pick game after game, outdo all those talk show hosts every year. And I struggle to get 13 people to watch my show. Those guys get millions of people to watch their show to give out bad information. It's just the nature of what we do, right? It's what they call the Joes versus the pros, right? There's a reason handicapping is done a very certain way, right? There's a reason why a consistency in handicapping works. Like if you're really good at making money line parlays, don't delve into 4 picks on ATS. Just make money line parlays, right? If that's your wheelhouse, stay there, right? Crush them on money line parlays. There is no reason to deviate, right? The only reason that I even ventured out into other sports was because NFL offseason is so long. And I wanted other sports to be able to bet on. So that's why I started baseball this year. And these guys that followed my baseball picks, I think when I quit, I was like 90-73 on baseball picks, right? Guys, I had a couple 8-0 days, right? I think maybe I had 1 8-0 and a 7-1 and a 6-0 day, right? I don't think I ever had any terrible days. I might have went 0 for 3 one time. I can't remember exactly. I'd have to go back and look. But I know, guys, I picked 8 baseball picks right in one day, right? So even if you followed me all year and you were breaking even, that day I would have made you a winner, right? Because at first I started out super hot, and Googs watched my show, and he can attest to this. Man, I started super hot at first, right? My system I was using cooled down a little bit, but then it took off again, and I just had good runs of consistency, right? It was not it was not about guesses, right? I was using a very specific formula, and I'll give it to you right now, right? I was using runs, home runs, and doubles. If the two teams were in the top 15 collectively, so if they had a score, if you add up where they rank in those three categories, right? If you add up where they rank in those three categories, and they have a number less than 45, that means they are in the top 15. Uh, yeah, Googs, I had to move and stuff. It just got in the way of it. I was trying to get out here to Colorado. But so if you are in the top 15 collectively in those three categories, and both teams are, take the over. If it goes the other way, if they are not in the top 15 collectively, then you take the under. I mean, it is so simple. All you're looking at is the offensive statistics. Thank you, sir, Larry. So guys, funny story, all right? So Larry and me and my wife, we used to live closer together. So we would go to Hot Springs and play craps at Hot Springs. Well, we decided to go have a steak at Outback, right? So we all go have a steak at Outback, and it was the worst service ever. Like the service was so bad that it was almost comical. It was almost just fun to kind of see where it ended because it was so terrible. And this was right during like the COVID, no one wanted to go to work thing. We're kind of right when that just was really hitting, and no one could find anyone to work. So it was just so bad. And then the food was obviously just Outback steak. It wasn't, you're not at a prime steakhouse in Outback. You're just at a chain restaurant, and it was not great. It wasn't even at Outback level. It was a bad situation. But we did have fun that day at Traps. That's when Heather went on that huge roll. My wife, we're on the end of the table, right? And she goes on this roll, and the other end of the table is playing big don'ts. There's like three guys playing big don't bets, right? So big don't, big odds. And she is smashing them. I bet she cost each of them a couple $1,000s. And she's just on one roll. They just won't get out of her way. It's like five after five after five after five. And Larry can vouch for this. He was there. I mean, it was just crazy. She just went on this really crazy roll. It was just full of fives. And these guys just kept betting against her. But yeah, the food was less than good, we'll call it. Yeah. But yeah, it's just funny. I miss hanging out with Larry. He's a fun guy to hang out with. His wife is a very fun lady to hang out with. So if you guys ever get a chance and you're around him, you might see him at his local place. So uh, he's a good guy, very good guy. But anyways, guys, so again, if you want this pick for today, then Dollar Super Chat will get you there, and you send me your email, wagermethis@gmail.com, or you can just go to my website, wagermethis.com, and you can send me a message directly through the site. There's a lot of ways to do it. And I have started, you guys go to the website and check out my new Blackhawk Craps Table Conditions drop down. You can get an idea of what kind of craps is offered at Blackhawk. I got a couple more casinos to get on there, but I've got my ratings of them, what I like, what I don't like, what they offer from like table conditions from like min maxes, odds, hard, soft, bouncy, length of table, stuff like that. Dealers, quality of dealers, all those things. And yeah, so I've kind of broke them down and gave them a rating. But you guys should check them out. I definitely would like your feedback to see what you think about those. I would love your guys' feedback on my website. Really, overall, I haven't got a ton of feedback on my website where people. When I'm going for the next live crafts practice on my channel, shoot, I guess I could probably do it tonight. I didn't have any. I have some videos that I was going to do, and I was going to run a premiere and talk to some people about a video I got coming up, but I could go live tonight. It's not a big deal. I can't guarantee a time because I don't know what my son has going on tonight, but I definitely can go live. I actually haven't played a ton of craps on my table lately. I've been just really busy with this NFL stuff and getting my live show that I'm going to be doing from uh, the Broadway Sports Lounge. It's actually the Sports Lounge off Broadway on Sunday Night Football. So if for whatever reason you are in Denver, you live in Denver, or you're in the Denver area, come to the Sports Lounge off Broadway Sunday night. Me and Square Pair guys, we will be there doing a recap of the Sunday games, talking about the Sunday night game, hanging out, having some giveaway stuff. The place has offered a promo of 2 for 1. If you have a wristband from us, you can get 2 for 1 drinks. So that's a really cool deal. So it's just going to be a good thing. Hopefully it takes off and I get a lot of people going there and have a lot of fun there. So if you're ever in the Denver area on a Sunday night during NFL season, it's right off C470 and Broadway. It's called the Sports Lounge off Broadway. It's a pretty cool little place. They got like a Golden Tee game, and it's built for it's a guys hangout, and it's a sports lounge, and it's got a pretty nice bar. So I mean, it's a good spot. Nice patio. That's where we're going to be doing the show from. But yeah, I mean, if you guys are ever in this area, just come check me out, and we'll hang out with you. We'll have some fun. I never owned an iPhone, so I cannot help you. But so I'm gonna go over here to DraftKings again. I have my computer up. That's what I keep doing, guys. And I'm gonna jump over here and look at this U.S. Open. Okay, so here we go. Okay, so this is the kind of stuff you're getting. Okay, so U.S. Open. This is tennis, right? You know, you in tennis. So you could get these guys, and you're getting plus odds stuff like this, guys. These off sports tend to be easier to handicap, right? So let's jump over here to golf. All right, so for the Tour Championship, right? The Tour Championship. Let's just look at who you can bet. Okay, so you can bet DeChambeau, Dustin Johnson, Jordan Spieth, McIlroy, Ram. So Ram is the favorite, right? But just think about, okay, so here's a pairing you could do, okay? By pairing, I mean you could stack this, okay? So you could get DeChambeau at 10 to 1, and you could get Brooks Koepka at 40 to 1, Dustin Johnson at 35 to 1, Jordan Spieth at 35 to 1, and Rory McIlroy for 35 to 1. Right? If you put $100 on each one, if any of those won, you're going to win money, right? Obviously, the worst odds is DeChambeau. So if you bet 5 and you're at 10 to 1, you're only going to win $500. But that's a good deal, right? $500. If any of the other guys were to come in, you're going to win a lot more money, right? And so these are the kind of things that I like to do on golf, as well as bet the just the paired up. So one player is going to do better than the other player, right? A lot of times you find angles there, and all you got to do is kind of research that player. Does he play well, in the morning, in the afternoon? There's all kinds of information. Does he play well on long courses, short courses? Does he play well if the course is in the north or the south of the United States? I mean, does he play well overseas? There's all these things you can look at that give you edges. It's just like looking at NFL handicapping. You're looking at things that give you edges. And betting on those golfers, you know, against each other, man, it's just really, really, really good handicap, and there's a lot of value there. So you guys check into that. I definitely have on this daily wager. There will definitely be times that it's a golf pick, and guys, so far I'm 9-1. Right, 9-1 on my golf picks. 9-1. It's going better than I imagined, right? So again, this is what this is all about. I'm going to be doing this every day. Thank you for everybody that bought into the package, bought into the membership. Thank you for everybody that did buy the pick today. I'm gonna be giving it out in the email here in just a second, and why. It's gonna have a little description of why with it, and yeah. So I've already placed it. I've already placed my bet on it. So there you go. Anyways, guys, I'm gonna get out of here. I've been on here like an hour now, right? An hour and 6 minutes. So thank you guys for watching. Thank you for hanging out with me. Again, this is going to be a daily thing. I'm going to try to do it when people are going to be able to watch it. But one of the things about being daily is that I have to do it before the pick, right? Before it happens. So sometimes it's going to be in the morning. Again, you'll be able to rewatch it. And then maybe, you can email me. I guess I need to figure out a way to maybe do PayPal or something here for this as well. That way people could rewatch it and say, hey, I want to know. Especially because I'm going to be keeping track of them. So after the game itself starts, I'm going to post the daily wager pick, or the daily dollar pick. I'm going to post it on YouTube. So I'm going to post it on a post after it starts. But anyways, guys, thank you for your time, and y'all have a great day. Kill them at the tables. Kill them at the book. Just get that money.